Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm doing a Maneater Bug Crawler deck profile. So I'm really excited for this one because this is actually brought to you by Izzy. I'm excited for that one because this is a Patreon request deck profile. So as you guys know, we have it set up on the Patreon where you guys can request deck profiles every single month that you are a patron, and this is actually one of those rewards where somebody's taken advantage of it and said, hey, I want you to build me a Maneater Bug deck. So I built a Crawler Maneater Bug deck to kind of base around the Maneater Bug card and even give you some awesome like pseudo Maneater bugs with this deck because it's kind of like a flip effect insect deck, so it works. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome rewards, you guys, just like this one, getting your name in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting a requested deck profile every single month that you are a patron just like Izzy did, and getting test hands that will be up on the channel soon of a deck just like this one, because it is also included to get test hands with every single deck profile that you do request through the DarkArmedDuelist Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Maneater Bug. You got to play 3 copies of Maneater Bug because it is a Maneater Bug deck profile. You're technically playing like 6 Maneater Bugs because you have the 3 copies of Spine as well. But what this card does is, if you don't know what this does, I don't know what you've been playing for the past 20 years. Unless you're new to Yu-Gi-Oh!, you've seen this card and you've had it used against you. But what this card does, if it's flip face up, you target a monster on the field, regardless of position, and you destroy it. You flip it and you destroy it. If it gets attacked into and it gets flip face up, you destroy a monster on the field. It's a really neat card. It's very, very old school. And so it was a really fun challenge to actually figure out how to use this card. We do actually have a retrain of Maneater Bug, which is Nobleman Eater Bug. They requested for me to use Nobleman Eater Bug and Maneater Bug, so I wanted to use both of these in this particular deck, and so we're using the Nobleman Eater Bug, which is actually surprisingly easy to get out in this deck. It adds a lot of destruction aspect into this deck because you can summon the Maneater Bug face down, and then if you have your Crawler monster that gets destroyed by a card effect, then you can instantly bring it out onto your side of the field by tributing one of your Crawlers that's already face up. And a lot of your Crawlers have high defense, so sometimes your opponent can't get through them. And you also have a really cool field spell that lets you special summon a level 2 or lower insect monster from your hand in face up or face down defense position, so you can use the Maneater Bug as tribute fodder to go into Nobleman Eater Bug, so you can get 2 pops instead of 1, which is kind of cool. So we also play for the Crawler package. We're playing 3 copies of Crawler Spine. Crawler Spine is like another Maneater Bug, but kind of a retrain of it because it lets you flip. When this card's flip face up, you get to target one monster on the field and destroy that monster. And then all of your Crawlers share the same ability that if this face up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon up to 2 Crawler monsters with different names from your deck in face down defense position except another copy of themselves. So we're just going to go over the flip effects. They all share that effect that if they're face up and they're removed from the field by a card effect of your opponent, you can special summon 2 other ones, which is kind of cool. We then play 3 copies of Receptor. Receptor is really good because it's flip face up. You get to add a Crawler from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good to be able to add the Crawlers from your deck to your hand. It helps out quite a lot for the deck to be able to just instantly grab exactly what you need when you need it. We then play 3 copies of this Crawler, which is really, really good as well. You can special summon a Crawler from your hand or graveyard when it's flip face up, which is really, really good as well. I like that effect in face up defense or face up attack or face down defense, which is really good to be able to get you your additional Crawlers onto your side of the field. It just helps out quite a lot. We then played 2 copies of Crawler Axion. Crawler Axion lets you target a spell or trap on the field and destroy it, which is super nice to be able to pop spells and traps, and it's kind of like a walking MST. And as you notice, a lot of your Crawlers have high defense and low attacks, so it works out for the deck to be able to put them in face down defense. We played 2 copies of Crawler Drite. Crawler Drite lets you send a monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can be kind of helpful to be able to get certain monsters out of the deck to be able to pull off certain combos. We play a single copy of Ravener. Ravener lets you target up to 2 Crawler monsters in your graveyard and add them back to your hand. It's a good recursion card, but I really feel like you just need one of it, especially with the amount of plays that you have in this deck. I play a single copy of Deuce X Crawler. Deuce is really good in this deck too. Deuce is kind of neat. It's a level 9 monster that when your opponent activates a card or effect and that targets this card face down, you can quick effect change it to face up defense, and it's like, what? You negate the attack or negate the effect, and if you destroy the card. And after this card was flipped face up, while it is in the monster zone, you negate all effects of all activated effects your opponent controls on the field. And if this face up card leaves the field, is destroyed by battle by card effect, you can add from your deck to your hand one level 9 monster with a different original type and attribute from this card. But we don't play anything else that's level 9, so you basically just flip it face up. It's a big beat stick that's really good with Krawler and helps out a lot. And then I play a single copy of World Legacy World Armor. World Armor is kind of nice because when it's flipped face up, or when a monster is flip summoned, you can special summon it from your hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. And if this card, a normal summon or set card on the field, you can target one card your opponent controls that was special summon from the extra deck and return both this card and that card to the hand, which is pretty good to be able to just bounce stuff, which is pretty nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming because the field spell is pretty pivotal to be able to get to in the deck to be able to special summon out your Man-Eater bugs and your Crawlers and all the other bugs that you have in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Wormbait. I actually bumped Wormbait down to 2 to put the Man-Eater bugs in the deck, which is kind of nice. It's not quite as needed because if you control an insect, you can special summon 2 worm tokens, but you can't normal summon or set normal or special summon monsters that are level 3 or level 4 that turn you back to this effect. But you can tribute those tokens to summon Noble Man-Eater Bug, which is not bad, or use them as link material to go into stuff like your extra deck monsters. We played 3 copies of World Legacy Survivor. World Legacy Survivor lets you excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you get to add 1 excavated Krawler monster or World Legacy card you can to your hand that you excavated. And also you send the remaining cards to the graveyard. Otherwise, you shuffle all excavated cards in the deck, and for the rest turn out this card resolves. You cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck except link monsters, which is not that big of a deal because literally all we're playing in the extra deck is link monsters, so that's fine. We play 3 copies for the last 3 spells. We're playing 3 copies of World Legacy Shadows. You're playing a lot of traps in this deck just to be able to control the board. Now, the World Legacy and Shadows is really, really important for the deck, especially with you playing Man-Eater Bug in the deck. It really helps out to be able to get the Man-Eater Bug directly to your field. So all Krawler monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. And then once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower insect monster from your hand in face up or face down defense position. And then when you flip summon, when a monster that's a flip summon monster is destroyed by battle or by card effect, then you can send that opponent's monster to the graveyard as well. So if your opponent attacks in, like for instance, if I have Man-Eater Bug, for example, and I special summon this face down, my opponent attacks into it, I flip it, target another monster that's not attacking into this and destroy it, and then I can target another monster, or the same monster that this card just was destroyed by battle by, and then get to pop that card as well. So you get 2 for 1 off of Man-Eater Bug, and you get 3 for 1 off of your copy of Noble Man-Eater Bug, so you get 3 pops. This card can borderline board wipe your opponent in this deck, which is pretty good. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. I know, I'm not playing Call by the Grave. What's going on? You don't really need it in this deck. You don't do that much searching. So, for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Metaverse. Metaverse is pretty good because it lets you get your World Legacy and Shadows really fast, which is super nice. 1 copy of Crusader Krawler. This card kind of saves you in a pinch because it can put you a 2100 body on the field. And it also has the ability that if this card is special summoned by the card effect to a zone a link monster points to, you can add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good to be able to add your World Legacy Armor or one of your World Legacy traps, which we play a lot of. We play 3 copies of World Legacy Pawns. World Legacy Pawns is really good because it lets you target a face-down monster you control, change it to face-up attack or defense, and then you can shuffle a Krawler monster from your graveyard in your main deck, then target 1 face-up monster you control and change it to face-down defense. So I can flip my Man-Eater Bug face-up or any of my other Crawlers face-up, use their effects, and then put a Krawler from my graveyard back in my deck, and then flip them back face down to use them again, which is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of a better Ghost Trick Scare. We then play 3 copies of World Legacy Mind Meld. Mind Meld's pretty good in the deck too, because when an opponent's monster activates its effect while you control a Krawler monster, you can activate the effect becomes return 1 face-up monster your opponent controls to the hand, which means my monster goes back to the hand, and I get special summon 2 of my Crawlers, which is really good. It also has the ability that you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a link monster on the field. and then special summon a Krawler monster in your hand, deck, or graveyard to a zone it points to in face down defense position. So it gives you an additional Krawler on your side of the field, so that's why you play this card as a 3 of. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Judgment's really good just in case. Like, we don't care about Lightning Storm. If we get Lightning Stormed, we just special summon a whole bunch of Krawlers, which is fine. But Judgment's really helpful if your opponent's going to use like a Topic Zexal or something like that, because you're usually wanting to go first in this deck, because this deck is a little bit more of a control slower deck, which is fine, but you want to use the Solemn Judgment to be able to go into the particular plays that you need to, like stopping your opponent's Numeron network, or stopping their particular Adamancipator play that you know you can't stop with like a particular card, like one of your Crawlers or your Man-Eater Bug, which is still pretty good, but you have a lot of different plays that you want to establish, and so you want to use the Solemn Judgment to stop your opponent before they can establish something really crazy. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of X-Krawler Quarliarch. Quarliarch is really good in this deck because it takes 2 Krawler monsters, and if this face-up card on the field is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, while it's in its owner's control, you can target 2 Krawler monsters with different names in your graveyard and special summon them, which is really good. I like that ability that it just replaces itself. The majority of your Link monsters that are Crawlers share that ability, which is pretty good. And it also has the ability that it gains effects depending on the amount of Crawlers you have on the field. If you have 2 or more, all monsters you control gain 300 attack. If you have 4 or more, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase, and if you have 6 or more, all your monsters can attack directly. That's pretty good, to be able to attack your opponent directly with a 2k beat stick. But actually be a 23k beat stick at that point, depending on if you had the field spell too. We then play 3 copies of the Krawler Synthesis. This card is really, really good. Krawler monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by battle, and it gains 300 attack and defense, and it can make up to 2 attacks during each battle phase as well, which makes them a really good OTK based deck. You're trying to get all 3 of your Link monsters on your side of the field, control the board until you can get 6 Crawlers on your side of the field, essentially, to get your copy of the 3 Link monsters out. It also has the ability that if this face-up card is destroyed by battle or by card effect and leaves the field, it shares the same ability that you can special summon 2 Crawlers with different names from your graveyard, which is really good. I like that effect. And then we play 3 of the other Krawler Link monster. This card's really good too, because it helps so much in the deck to be able to use this effect. It just takes 2 insect monsters to go into this card, and Krawler monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by battle and gain 300 attack and defense as well, which is really good. I like that ability. So you can boost them all the way up by 900 plus the field spell boost as well, which makes them really big. They kind of go in like an infestation, like you want to have a bunch of the Crawlers on the field to be able to deal with your opponent's stuff, and so you have all this infestation. And the other cool thing about this deck is it's super budget, because everything's pretty much common. The other effect of this card is that if it's destroyed battle by card effect, you can special summon 2 Crawlers like the other Link monsters. We then play a single copy of the Inzektor Link monster just to be able to shuffle your Crawlers back from the graveyard into the deck to draw a card, which is kind of nice. We play a single copy of Mrs. Radiant because just about everything in the main deck is Earth, so you have that extra boost of 500. We play a single copy of Borrelsword just in case. You don't have to play Borrelsword. If you want to make the deck really budget, you don't have to play these 2 Link 4s that I'm about to show you. You can play Borreload or anything else that you want to play. But I play a single copy of Borrelsword just to help out a little bit. And we play Appaloosa as well just to help control. You don't have to play Appaloosa. A lot of people comment down below and say, I don't have the money for Appaloosa. What can I play? Play anything. You're basically focusing on this up here at the top. You can change the Appaloosa out for like a copy of Borreload, Zero Boros. You can play the cheap Link 4s and it's fine. It's not going to take away from what the deck does just because you don't have one of these monsters. But Borreload and Zero Boros would probably be my first go-tos. If I could go a little bit higher than that, I'd probably get an Avermax. We then play a single copy of Unicorn just to bounce stuff, and we play a single copy of Phoenix just to be able to pop spells and traps. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, Izzy. I really am excited for this deck. I hope you enjoyed, and I did Man-Eater Bug justice for you. It's a really fun deck to play around with, and I am really excited to actually do test hands for this, because I haven't played Man-Eater Bug in a long long time, and it's really nostalgic to actually get requests for the decks like this, because I really like nostalgic cards. Like, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! For 20 years. I ought to know the nostalgic cards, and I ought to know how to work them in. It's a lot of fun to be able to work in the old stuff, because this actually came from a Structure Deck Yugi. If you notice the SDY, that's Structure Deck Yugi, the first ever Structure Deck that came out in the TCG. So that's pretty exciting to be able to use a card from that long ago besides Dark Magician. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can come part of the notification squad. Definitely give Izzy some love down in the comments down below, because we're really excited for you having those Patreon requests, because we get interesting decks just like this one. And don't forget to check out the Patreon down in the description below so you guys can get your own request of a deck profile every month that you're a patron. So without further ado, guys, we'll see you later. Bye!